Okay, we are live. Live at Sudha. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our June edition of Sudha Live. I'm Sudha Jamthe, technology futurist from Silicon Valley. Excited to talk to you. Used to do this every week and decided to switch it to a month. So it seems like such a long time. Very happy to see you all. And I'm streaming this on YouTube and LinkedIn, but I'm going to be taking questions only on LinkedIn. So feel free to just do one of these emojis if you want to sit in and listen. But better would be if you chat and ask me questions and we can engage in a conversation, because I see the numbers go up and so many of you are joining. And I think many of you are my new students from LinkedIn learning courses. So what are we going to talk about today? So typically in Sudha Life, my goal here is to make sure that I put you on your learning journey as you come from various places, right? You might have taken classes outside on AI and Gen AI, or you might have taken one of my courses at Stanford or Barcelona Technology School or LinkedIn Learning. And you might just be, trying, applying that in your work, or trying to figure out, okay, what is this? Is this hype? Because I'm seeing this everywhere. So that's what we're going to demystify. There is so much happening in the world of Gen AI. And for those of you who are new, this is going to be for an hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the latest, greatest in the Gen AI world to make sense of it. And I usually bring this angle of, okay, you're going to build something with Gen AI, you're going to create business value for your company, for your startups, or for your own career, you're trying something. So I like to, drill down deeper and go into different industries, different topics. So, but today, before I get started, I want to show you something exciting. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on responsible AI, and there's the latest on voice clone and this recall from Microsoft. It's all pointing us towards responsible AI. What does that mean? What does that mean for you as product managers, business leaders, architects and designers and engineers? Because everybody comes together, plays a role in this AI building process, whether it's traditional AI or generative AI. So before we get started, I've been out for a while, for a month, didn't talk to you. So while I was out traveling, I got something very exciting because I have a habit of taking a lot of pictures. And out from the sky, I actually up there, I did some video. And then I am going to first show you because it's super beautiful. I've done that last time, when I went to Toronto and Niagara was frozen. I showed you that. So this is my cloud view from up on the sky. Okay. And I'll show you how it connects back to our world of AI in a minute, because I'm not going to be showing you anything that's not AI. So do you see this? You can give me a thumbs up because I can't see you guys nod, because you should be seeing just this screen. Yeah. Okay. So this is from the window. I saw this. New York State Sunset. So I was looking at, okay, stop this. I was looking at where I was in the map from the GPS, and I was tracking cross country in different places. And then at some point we went into Canada and then came back from there to upstate New York. And that's when we saw this. And then I even saw like a factory in New York and a lot of different things. And I saw the Great Lakes and whatnot. So while I'm looking at the cloud from the top, that's very rare only when I'm traveling. Most of the time we are taking pictures from down here, and then I get pictures of the cloud. And I thought that was just my hobby, had nothing to do with anybody or anything in science. It was more art because I was looking for patterns in the cloud and what is cool and fun and interesting. And guess what happened? I found that NASA is looking for beautiful clouds. To show you, look at the view of the cloud that we would take when we are looking down from where we stand, right? So if I'm standing here, this is a picture of a cloud I took, again, sunset from somewhere in Silicon Valley. And I thought, this is beautiful. And I'm looking at the pattern. I'm not thinking about science. I'm not thinking that anybody could use this. But what NASA has come up with is they are saying they are tracking the world using satellites and they take pictures, but the view they get is from the top. It is not from the bottom. And so sometimes it's obstructed. They do not get the full picture of what is happening below. This is the NASA picture. The news story that I wanted to show you. I am not affiliated with any brand, and anything that you show is ad from this happens to be the Popular Science magazine. I'm not affiliated with anybody. I'm not endorsing any brand, so just be aware. So NASA is basically saying, hey, we want to identify clouds. So they get the top view of the clouds. They want us to take our pictures, like I was showing, from the bottom view, from the ground, and then send it to them. There is a globe, NASA Globe Clouds, and this is an international effort. And they want us to submit our clouds so that they could get multiple directional view using computer vision, and they can see what's happening in terms of climate, in terms of energy movement with the wind and whatnot. So if you're like me and you're taking pictures of the cloud, you should submit to the Globe app. Okay, so coming back to generative AI, the topic that I'm going to cover is about responsible AI relative to generative AI. Responsible AI is a very big topic. It has been talked about for a long, long time from the context of how do you build machine learning models? How do you make them? So there's multiple principles. So the big one is fairness and reducing bias and make it inclusive. And the second one is how to make AI responsible in the sense that it should be explainable. So when you do something and your customer challenges it, then you need to go back and say, this is the reason why the decision was made, which is not how AI operates, because AI is a black box. So the second part is to make it transparent. So that's called explainability. Those are two big pieces of responsible AI. Every big tech company has a responsible AI framework on how to go about building tech in a very responsible way, especially for responsible AI. And with generative AI, it takes a totally different dimension. So I teach AI ethics at Barcelona Technology School to several different master's programs. Yashashwini Vishwanath joins me on covering fairness metrics, and explainability and machine unlearning. And we find that when we talk to students who are designers, they are interested from a user touch point, right? The user experience flow is what they're focusing on. If you're talking to a business person, and there is a master's in business leadership, that they are interested in how is it going to impact our business models. Sometimes they could be data owners or data engineers. Then they're thinking about the data aspect of it. And there's a big data and AI masters, and they're saying, okay, give us something, give us some tool on how we can build this. So we usually give them the fairness metrics type of thing. So, and there's always, there's another masters in product management who represent the customers. They are the CEO of customers, balancing between business on one side and engineering on one side. And so everybody comes at AI ethics at a very different perspective. So with Gen AI, it's not just about fairness and explainability, which we do cover, but Gen AI has a lot more things. And one big topic is hallucination, because when AI says something, it might not be true, but it is very eloquent and making beautiful sentences that you want to believe it. And that's called hallucination. And the hallucination is found that it is because of a gap in the training data. So the more there is a gap, the more the AI is going to hallucinate. So when you try to build machine translation for some foreign language for which you have very little data, and the Gen AI model has very low confidence, then it's not going to say, I'm not confident. It is going to hallucinate and confidently give you wrong answers. So that's one aspect of responsible AI. But the biggest one is basic ethics. We don't need to take a course. We don't need to understand fairness and explainability and machine unlearning and all kinds of jargons. We just can use common sense and say, is this right or wrong? And one such topic that came up recently in this last month was about voice cloning. And I've spoken to you a couple times about it. And for those of you, I'm going to go back to LinkedIn to see whether you have a question or comment. So tell me, for those of you who are watching here, have you been following me in Sudha Live in 2022 August? When I used to do, I mean, I used to do this weekly till last, last month, but August 2022 is very special. If you have been a long-time follower, you would know that. And tell me if you've seen that, because one of the things I did that day is I recently ran into this Medium post that I had done. Let me go find that for you. And if you were following me at that time, you will immediately get the aha. Let me see if I have it. Oh, I have it. I did a post on Medium and I called it Sudha Live as AI Sudha. And this was in 2022 August. This was even before ChatGPT launch and the big LLM world became big, right? And so I'm talking to you and I had a sore throat that time. I could not talk and I was, I lost my voice. So, and I keep my cadence and my promise on my live stream with you all. And so I decided to create a voice playback of my Sudha Life. Let me show you that. It's funny, this was the world before voice cloning. Where is that? It's here. Okay, so I called it Sudha Live as AI Sudha. And I basically said, hey, I'm going to speak to you with using an AI voice. And I use something called Google WaveNet for text-to-speech. This was basic text-to-speech, which is also AI. And the funny thing is, let me see if I can play that for you. Oh, it's going back to the end because I've done a playback of that. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Sudhaliv as I Sudha. Welcome. Welcome to Sudha Live. I am going to speak with you using an AI voice because I have a sore throat.
This is
I
not
had
now.
built the text
This is from the
to
past.
speech voice synthesizer as my college project in my computer science engineering undergrads decades back. Now it's doable with a pre-trained AI software model. I am using Google WaveNet for text-to-speech. This is hashtag Sudhalive, my weekly live stream where I share opportunities in AI space, jobs, fellowship, courses, and my analysis of one topic from the AI world.
Okay, so I'm still doing the same thing. So one of the things I did at that time with the text-to-speech using Google's WaveNet was they said, hey, you can actually make the voice sound like different things. So I said, I want it to sound closer to me. So I said, can you set it up so it can read it as a Southeast Asian Indian women voice? And he did that for a little bit. Then I said, now bring an American voice. And I kind of switched through the whole thing to show you the beauty of this. And I thought I was in the cutting edge of things. And fast forward, the same year, there was a lawsuit against recording voice of a person without their consent. And a big corporation was sued. And I have a case study on this in my AIX books. So for those of you who are my students who are joining me, are you able to tell me which was the corporation that had a lawsuit, who was sued about this? So basically, some big company took the voice of some person and saved it because they wanted to identify that person. And this was not voice cloning. This was 2022. And that corporation was sued. So do you know who that was? I've covered this in some of my classes. So if you are one of my students from Stanford, you would know this. If you're my student from Barcelona Tech, from my AIX UX design class, you would know that. Yeah. Any guesses? Okay, let's take a step back. So who would get access to your voice in this? This is the pre-cloning days, guys, because that is the big lawsuit that came up about cloning Scarlett Johansson's voice and using her voice or a lookalike of her voice by generative AI. So one of the things that I always keep telling you when we are talking about any topic, today we are talking about responsible AI. For those of you who are joining, we're talking about responsible AI and the basic ethics of AI that you need to know in your job role, whatever your job role. It doesn't matter if you are building AI, you have a responsibility and you have to stop and think, is this going to get my company sued? Am I going to lose my job? Is this right? Can I go home and sleep well after doing this? Whatever path you choose, I'm not here to tell you why you do it, but I'm here to tell you about voice cloning and saving somebody's voice without consent. So the difference between traditional AI and generative AI is generating content. It's generating voice. And traditional AI is trained in data and does prediction exactly like generative AI, but it looks back in its memory and says, I see this pattern, and it fetches that from its memory. So when I did text to voice, it is actually not generating voice. It is taking text. It is trying to read out the sound of the text based on the algorithm, and it was creating that sound for me, right? So with the newer generative AI, they are generating AI, but in its training, it is still got training data look alike. So when they created Scarlett Johansson's voice, it was exactly the same concept. They could have saved her voice without her consent, and they could have had a playback of it, which is not very different from generating it, because they generated Scarlett Johansson's voice. So for a common person, they could see that it was her voice or sounded like her voice. So the question here I was asking you is, in 2022, there was a corporation that was sued for saving somebody's voice without consent. And let me see, go back to LinkedIn. There's a slight delay in LinkedIn for me. So the question here, okay, when I did the replay, it's voice, you hear my voice again, so sorry about that. I put that on mute, so I'm listening here on LinkedIn. I see you guys. So the case that happened was McDonald's. Yes, yes, it's unbelievable, right? You couldn't think it was McDonald's, and McDonald's is doing this cutting edge AI ethics, and that too, violating AI ethics and voice, data consent. So what happened was McDonald's decided to give personalized menu. So when you do a drive-through, you go through the drive-through and then the menu shows up. And they said, what if you could give the user exactly what they want? And we could build a recommendation engine based on the data from their previous purchases. So far, so good, right? And we see that in e-commerce, in toys, in clothes, in electronics, all kinds of purchases. And if we get what we want, we are happy, right? If we are recommended exactly what we want, we are happy. So what they ended up doing was, they said, okay, but how do we know this is the user? How do we identify the user? So at the crux of digitizing anything is identity. You have to identify the user. So in this case, they said, okay, in US, some states allow tracking number plates of people, some states don't. And so they said, we will identify the car by the number plate. When the same car comes back and they order the same Big Mac, then we will collect that information, and then we build the personalized recommendation engine. And where they could not offer this. And so what they ended up doing is, when somebody was doing a drive-through and by voice, they were saying, give me this, and they were making an order, they recorded that voice. They did not tell the user. They did not get permission from the user. They did not communicate anything about them. They just recorded the voice, which is illegal. And that's what they got sued for. Later, when they did this recommendation and presented to a user, a person coming by, and that person said, how did you know it was me to give me exactly what I wanted? And they said, we've done a personalization engine and we saved your voice. And so they got sued. So this was the previous world, pre-generative AI. Now, the big news with Scarlett Johansson suing OpenAI, and they pulling back, and OpenAI pulled back on their voice clone technology, is because they were wrong. And they know if they continue on with the lawsuit, it will cost them millions of dollars. And it was wrong. It's not just morally it was wrong. It was because it was somebody's voice cloning it, pretending it's one of those fake news kind of situations. But they decided to do this after Scarlett Johansson said no. They asked for Scarlett Johansson's voice, and they said, we want to use this as voice. Why did they choose that? First of all, there is a whole design sentiment that is going in the AI ethics world, in the AI world, where they make the AI sound like a female. So when you have Alexa talking, Google Home talking, Google Home now has a lot of different choice of voices and genders, but they basically had voice as a women's voice. Alexa is coy and apologetic as a woman. A lot of robots are made like that, looking like women for certain jobs that they do. And society brought that bias into building AI. That is what is the crux of generative AI when you talk about responsible AI. When you're talking responsible AI, you are sitting in a team in many different roles, and you will be building things. So you're taught about AI in all my lessons, and you say, hey, you collect data and have veracity of data, volume of data, and make sure that the data is pruned and there is a single source of truth. You have access to the data. Now use the data to train the AI. We've learned about feature engineering. We have learned about optimizing. We've learned about no code and how to build machine learning models. And in my generative AI course on LinkedIn, you've learned how to build generative AI models, right? You've learned how to build chatbots. You've built agent AI, all kinds of fancy things. But at the crux of it, when you sit in industry, in a real job, you have a role. You could be the data scientist. You could be the product manager. You could be the business owner. You could be the data owner. You could be an accountant. You could be a lawyer. It doesn't matter. You have a say in what is being built, what data is being used, whose data is being used. Are we violating the privacy? Whenever there is a privacy violation and then big news that goes out, they always name a company, and the bigger the company, obviously bigger the news view about that. But it is not the CEO of the company who just like magically sends this product out. The product AI development life cycle, whether it is traditional ML life cycle or generative AI, involves people collecting data, people deciding what is the product we are building, what is the business problem we are building, how are we mapping this data to the capability of the AI. In generative AI, is it going to create a summarization? Is it going to create a Q&A? Is it going to create machine translation? Is it creating machine translation? Do we have enough data for this translation language, or is it going to cause hallucination? So if you have the knowledge of what generative AI is capable of doing, you can create business value. If you do not have a knowledge of how to build this in a responsible way, if you think about hallucination and fairness and explainability and basic ethics of don't steal other people's data, if they said no, then it crosses the ethical boundary, calls for a lawsuit. And that is exactly what happened in this case. In McDonald's case, this person sued McDonald's because they saved the user's data without their consent. And in OpenAI case, they created a clone of somebody after they said, no, I don't want you to use my data. So one thing is a fundamental bigger problem of making AI look like a woman. And so they were hung up on using Scarlett Johansson's look-alike for the voice clone because of the movie Her. How many of you have seen the movie Her? It's an AI. It's an AI that becomes centennial, and it is got a life, and this person falls in love with the AI. Very nice science fiction story in there. And they decided that they want you at some behavioral level deep down to associate the voice clone with her, the algorithm in the movie, which happens to be Scarlett Johansson. And when Scarlett Johansson said no, they should have said, oh, we cannot do this. What is our next best option? And instead, they decided to go ahead, and they got sued, and then they had to pull back. So that's the AI clone story. The other thing, so what would you do? Have you had a situation where you had to clone somebody's voice? We always hear about this from politicians whose voice are cloned, famous people whose voice are cloned. And then there is the good side of, hey, we could actually create a clone of a person from the past who could be an architect, who could be an artist, who could teach us something. We could have clones of people's voices out in the museum. And there's all these discussions. So AI, like every big exponential technology, has a good and a bad side. And so when you sit in a company, typically, and I have done that in my corporate jobs, and we are told how we are saving the world, how we are saving some customers, how we are delighting the customers, helping them. And on the other side, we are creating valuation, ROI for the company, helping the company grow. In all this process, we are growing our own careers. With AI, there is always the good application and then the malicious application. So there is the misuse and the disuse. So if you actually leave people behind, they're going to stop using this. And if you are going to leave it open-ended, then you're going to create malicious use, like this voice clone, and they wanted to create this AI. So you have a responsibility when you are building AI product, whatever your role, to stop and think about, okay, what am I unleashing to the world? What good am I doing? What bad is potential? How do I plug that? So for my product manager courses, I actually tell people for Gen AI or regular AI or autonomous vehicle, whatever courses you're taking from me, I always say, with AIX or AI design, you have to think about a personality of the persona of the user. You have to think about the persona of the AI. Does it have to be genderized? Does it have to be humanized? Does it have to be a female? Does it have to be this funny and quirky or apologetic? What is the reasoning? Are you manipulating the user in that exercise? How do you design this in such a way that you're focusing on the business value and delighting the customers to solve a real problem? But when you think about responsible AI, to build this in a responsible way, you have to think about, can I do this? Can I create a persona for the AI? And what would the AI's persona be? And why should it be this way? And if it is a malicious persona who's going to come and they're going to if a malicious person is going to come and take over my technology and create a malicious AI, what would it do? And you need to plug that. You need to plug that, meaning you need to stop and create your product such that they cannot hack into your product. They cannot break into your product. They cannot reform your product to reshape it to do something else. So that is the point I was making. So have you seen situations, I'm coming back to LinkedIn. So have you seen situations where people are cloning voice? Have you done that? I think you need like 10 or 13 seconds is the number, I think, of somebody's voice to clone their voice. And in today's technology. In fact, right here in Sudha Live, I've spoken to you about how one of my students from Yelisava University, which is in Spain, and I was teaching a group of designers. One of my students was building a capstone project, and this was about cloning a person's voice. And they were considering cloning the person in a digital form or in a chat form as a personality and voice. And they finally decided that some person who was no more will come and read a book for their kid. And it sounds like a very cool use case, like all the good use cases. But this opens up the world for any kind of malicious voice cloning. And so we had a lot of discussion about responsible AI in that class, of why you're doing what we are doing and whose problem are we solving. And when we'll unleash this into the world, what is it going to do to other people? There's a whole excitement in technology industry about creating digital clones, not just voice clone. There's a bunch of funded companies and investors who have funded them are very excited, but they are kind of using that to show themselves in digital forms and asking questions. They're not even funny. I've not even seen a funny one. It's very salesy ones that I've seen. But there's a movement just because it's possible. So my question to you is, just because it's possible, should you do it? What is your role in all that? The other thing that came up in this recent week is Microsoft Recall. So Microsoft has come with a product called Recall. And you and I know this. We have content somewhere here and in our laptops, and we search for it. And sometimes we don't find it, and I go through that. And sometimes it's frustrating of how much time you spend on that. So Microsoft basically said every 5 minutes on their laptop, they will take a screen grab of all the data that is in your computer. And they will keep collecting it. And so that anytime you want to search something, they would be able to fetch it for you, because they have a lot of data in a time series at any point in time, where you kept this file, where did you move it, what did you do, and what applications were open. And so they were trying to kind of almost monitor. Remember, we used to have, when we had digital cameras in the laptops, I remember there was this fear of we'll be watched from the internet, and here we have to put this little clip so that it stops it. And here we are giving permission to Microsoft to kind of do this, and it's the keep doing this and take that. And I remember seeing some of you on LinkedIn were very excited and says, I don't have to search for things anymore. And, Microsoft is going to get this from recall. And this week, what happened was when they saved it, what went wrong? So if you are a product manager, this is one that I always tell my students, when you're thinking about building AI in a very responsible way, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the product manager or the business manager or whatever or UX designer, whatever your role. When you see any news, any kind of new product, and you say, if I was building that, what would I do? Would I build this? Maybe I won't. Then you're out of the game. And if you're going to build this, then what are you going to do? So for those of you who are watching here on LinkedIn, thank you for hanging around. So if you were building, you were in the team, take any role that you want. Now give me an answer. If you were building this in Microsoft, and the product is called Recall, where every 5 minutes you're going to take a screen grab of the user's computer, entire data, you're going to copy, and you're going to send it to the cloud. And another 5 minutes, you're back again sending this, and you're going to collect all this data, and you're going to train some AI so that it can exactly predict and get you what you're looking for. So the search is not just regular search, it's going to be some kind of intelligent AI-driven search. So in this case, if you're doing this, what is the one thing you would do? Because the center of responsible AI is not about preachy ethics of you think this is right, I think this is wrong, and morality. It is to some extent when the obvious product is very malicious, but it is about balancing convenience to the user with their privacy, or what is just normally right. You would not want this to bring to your family, then you should not give this to your customers. So what is the one thing you would have done if you were running this product and building this product called Recall for Microsoft, and your job is to build this such that you just get a recording of a user's entire computer data storage every 5 minutes and send this to the cloud? Forget that somebody's building out an AI with this. If you're going to create this product experience, what is the one question you would ask? And I'm seeing no more people come in. This is Sudha Live. I'm Sudha Jamthe, and I'm talking to you about responsible AI. We just covered the topic of voice clones, and in traditional AI and generative AI, what's the difference, what happened? And now I'm talking about Microsoft Recall. And if you were building Microsoft Recall, what would you do? What is the one question would you ask if you're a product manager or you're a business person, and the product has been proposed that you collect users' data from their laptop every 5 minutes? What would you be? What's the one question you'd ask? It's one of those things I ask my students, saying your biggest superpower is to ask questions. Ask the right question. And you know why you know the right question? Because you have the business acumen, you represent the customer, you know your data, you know what is possible, because you're always looking for ways to create business value. You've tried and tested some things. You know the kind of things your customer likes, the kind of things your customer does not like, kind of things that's failed in the industry in the past. So you bring all that knowledge and you ask questions. So just because AI is new or Gen AI is new doesn't mean that you're totally new in this game, especially if you've taken one of my courses and just come into the world of AI or Gen AI. You still have all these decades or years of experience. So your superpower is to ask questions. So what is the one question you would ask if you are building this Microsoft Recall product that is out from Microsoft? If you're building that product and they say, we are going to take a snapshot every 5 minutes of a user's computer data and store it, what question would you ask? Is this a good idea? So here I'm going to give you a choice to send me some emojis, right? If you don't want to chat. Would you like to build this product? Do you think, would you think there is any malicious way by which this product can be misused? The user gives you permission. So this is not stolen content. The user is giving you permission, and then they say, okay, Microsoft, I trust you. Collect all the information from my computer and send this to the internet, build your AI model, get me an ability to search so that I can exactly get what I want. What would you do? What is the one question? So is this going to be a malicious product? Yes or no? So you can give me a thumbs up. I think they don't have an option to say something negative, right? So give me a thumbs up or a support or a clap or some emoji if you think this is useful. This is something that's a useful product. Okay, so many of you think it's a useful product. Okay, and Microsoft is officially, you trust Microsoft on the computer with everything they're doing, so there is no harm in giving them your data, so they save it, right? The problem was this data was saved unencrypted and sent to the internet. What happens when you send unencrypted data? You can be hacked. That's right. That's exactly what happened. And so it has created a cybersecurity risk because all the information that you have on your computer is now going to the internet in a open bus, and it can be hacked. So when you think about responsible AI, you have to think about security risks. Bias and explainability is there, but common sense. You don't need to have terminologies. You don't need to have some new techniques and technologies and tools. It comes down to basic common sense. Okay, so I'm going to go now switch gears. I told you about the Microsoft recall. There is a responsible AI index that is coming from Africa, and it is from, let me see whether I have that site open. I think it is due to be released on April, not April, we are in June, so it's June 19th. So this is the global index on responsible AI that's going to be launched in 5 days. And they have collected 500,000 data points. And they're looking at various different researchers, policymakers from various different countries. 160 researchers, 133 countries. They've come together and they're creating one global index on what is happening in responsible AI, who is doing at a country level. It's a very interactive, downloadable publication that they come up with, and it analyzes worldwide responsible AI, who is doing what at a country level, what are the regulations, who's being supported, who is not, that kind of thing. And so I especially since you're listening to responsible AI from me, I would definitely urge you to sign up for that. And for those of you who are new here, everything that I'm talking about, all the different links, learning links, and I'm going to be sharing some jobs and stuff soon. I'm going to put all of that in the newsletter, the Jamthe newsletter. And some of you did not know that Business School of AI was my learner community. So every time something I shared on Business School of AI that you might not do anything, and I share it on my own profile, and you're liking and sharing and commenting. So that's my learner community. Let me show that to you. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay, I'm just going to go pick one of these windows where I'm already talking to you. So it's linkedin.com/company/business school of AI. Let me share that screen with you. Is it this window? Yes. So I just typed here linkedin.com/company/business school of AI. And I've just replaced the logo with my picture just before I came here. So here I will share the newsletter link, I think, where you can find everything. So the newsletter link, the weekly newsletter goes out on Monday. That's where I'm going to put all the links that I'm sharing here today. The weekly Wednesday is the Global Speaker Series. That is here. All my LinkedIn courses and YouTube and all those things are here. For those of you, I was talking to somebody today and they were saying, where's your YouTube channel? So if you follow me just in Business School of AI, you will get all the latest, greatest, everything that I'm ever doing. I usually put it out there. So that is what I want you to look at. And I want to see whether I can show you the, let me see if I can find this, the newsletter for June. So in my June newsletter, hold on. So if you go to bit.ly Jamthe newsletter, or just go to Business School of AI, you'll find my newsletter. You will find all the information. But the important thing is once a month, I do a big long version of the newsletter. And Ranin from my team is driving this. So thank you, Ranin. So I have shared job opportunities, reading materials. I think IEEE has a call for paper that is due on June 10th also. This Responsible AI report that is coming from Africa is actually done by 3 different organizations, including the government of Canada. So it's a truly, truly global effort. So it'll be wonderful, especially if you want to get into the world of responsible AI. So let me see this. Let me find the latest jobs that I want to share with you. So 2 jobs. One is there is a director AI product manager from Micron in San Jose. There is a senior manager for ML data from Google in Seattle. And for students who have been pinging me, there is a fall data scientist internship at Amazon. So all the links I've shared in the newsletter, I'm going to do that. And then there is a whole bunch of reading material that I've shared in there. So that you will be seeing too. So I'm not going to just go through that laundry list with you like that. Let me do that. Oh, the other thing is this week at Weekly Wed, which is my global speaker series. It's run by my student alums, hosted by Yash Ashwini. There was a fantastic topic. Let me bring that up. Okay, so this is Debbie Reynolds, and she is known as the Data Diva. And she came to talk to us about data privacy in connected cars. And for those of you who have taken my courses on autonomous vehicles, and there is a LinkedIn learning course on artificial intelligence in connected products. So IoT, connected cameras, all those things, right? So I've always talked to you about how to build AI, how to use data from any of these devices and make sense of it to train AI and to use this to go create business value, to enhance your learning. And one of the things that is happening in connected cars, and not just connected car is this autonomous vehicle, any car is now a connected car because cars are built with a SIM card. And there are cameras everywhere. There are some cameras inside the vehicle. And Debbie shared an amazing amount of information because she presented to the US Department of Commerce about what kind of data is collected by the car. So I've spoken about cameras in the cars, LiDARs and other IoT tracking devices that can add to mobility or create ADAS features. But the interesting thing is when you connect your mobile phone or some apps to the car, your text and your address book is also copied over to the car. So there are laws in New Jersey, New York, in Illinois, and California about how when somebody sells a car, they have to kind of purge a previous person's data, because you don't want to sell your car and then your entire address book and your chats that you've done with everybody on the phone goes to some unknown person who's buying your car next. It doesn't make sense. And so there's loss on that. It seems like common sense. So Debbie's made a very interesting point. She said in US, the laws, we have privacy laws. We don't have human laws. We're not thinking intuitively, how is this affecting humans? So one of the points was there was this case of a domestic abuse victim who basically was stalked by her ex, and that person actually had access to them because of the car, and they could track the car that this person got. The ex basically could track where they were based on the GPS. And when they went to the car company, they said, we cannot actually stop this GPS from tracking or do anything because the car was bought in the other person's name. So there's all these quirky pieces in the law. So we had fun discussion. But the important thing is when you are in this world of building AI, and in this world of generative AI, where you're creating human touch points, thinking about human privacy, thinking about human touch point, thinking about it in a responsible way is what responsible AI is about. So I want to show you a question that I think came from one of the students.
Thank you, Debbie. It was a good talk. it just makes me think that I should delete all the apps that I'm not using.
That's one extreme,
number
right?
one. Is there any way we could protect ourselves, balancing the comfort versus privacy? We usually, when it shows a whole bunch of text, we just accept and move forward. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's a very open question. What can we do to balance the comfort in the car versus the privacy? Do you suggest that we go after the fact and then go to all the data brokers and delete our data in some other mode?
Yeah.
What do we do?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, there really aren't any good answers here, right? The problem is that the mechanism that is in place right now, where in some cases, depending on the jurisdiction you live in, you can opt out, but opt out is not easy. It's hard to do. There was in the presentation I did, there was a situation where this woman, she said she was trying to opt out of all these things on her car. It took her a month, right? She's a tech savvy person.
Okay. So this is the story I was telling you that Debbie was talking about, the domestic abuse stalker situation. But I wanted to give you that because when we're thinking about AI and Gen AI, and we are thinking about cloning and voice cloning and things like that, we are not thinking about our role on an average, because we are thinking, okay, what cool AI can we build and how can we learn this? And what most of my students, you're thinking, oh my God, that's Python and I don't know coding. And here my courses are teaching you with no code. But I want you to think at every point when you're creating this user experience, there is a balance. And if you get this report that I was telling you from Africa, that you're going to get this, and I will add that also to the next newsletter that goes out on Monday, the Global Index in Responsible AI. So you can see what 160 different countries are doing and what are the laws. But I still think when you are sitting in tech industry or in enterprise applying AI, trying to build something, it's common sense. And you think about, how do I balance this privacy? How do I think of this malicious use cases equally as much as the good use cases that's going to give me ROI? And how do I plug that? So I think we've done justice talking about responsible AI. So we can continue this conversation. And I would love to hear from you how you're using AI in your industry. And with Weekly Wednesday, one of the things we are doing is we are having a topic series. We have this every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Pacific time. So it's different times in the world based on where you are. And we bring a speaker and we go into an in-depth discussion that is not streamed on LinkedIn. But we do put a recording and we'll share that. It streams on our YouTube. So if you go to the YouTube, you can find the Weekly Wednesday, like I showed you, was from my YouTube. So it's Business School of AI on YouTube also. Or you just follow on LinkedIn and we'll come and share everything there. That's the easiest thing. If you just follow Business School of AI on LinkedIn, I'll share the Weekly Wed link, but I will also share the newsletter when it goes out on Mondays. If you're already not in the newsletter, you'll get a recording of that. So coming back, it comes back to common sense. It comes back to your business acumen, thinking about what your customer wants, who is your customer. And the more of us who get into the room to be part of this AI building process, we can actually do this right. And so many of you are asking, you are so busy, with Gen AI, it seems complicated. There is this hallucination, and there are a lot of other jargons in this Gen AI world, right? How is it different from traditional AI? How can you think about ROI? It's all great. You create voice clones, you generate images, and you create music, and you chat, and all the uses that you're seeing at an application level. You're seeing it, but what is Gen AI? How do I get into the industry to go build this, to influence change in any of these situations that we were talking about? And so I have a new Gen AI course. I already have Gen AI course for product and business managers on LinkedIn, which is a video-driven course. And it's 1 hour video-driven course on LinkedIn Learning if your company or university has access to LinkedIn Learning. But many of you are asking, I get the newsletter that is easy to read for me. If I get a course that I can easily read and I'm just spending like an email time, that would be wonderful. So here I'm ready to announce that I have a whole new course called, let me find it for you. It is a no-code Gen AI email course. I'm going to share that with you right now. So again, I will post this. It is on Business School of AI. I will share that on Business School of AI in the coming week. So, and this is the first time you're seeing this, the world is seeing this. It's a no-code Gen AI email course. And how it works is you're going to get an email on a Gen AI topic. So the kind of topics, let me see what kind of things you can learn. Where is this list? So you learn about different types of generative AI, large language models, intelligent chatbots. How do you build the chatbot for an enterprise? It's with an enterprise lens, with the product manager lens. What are some no-code AI tools? What is agent AI? The hottest topic is autonomous agent AI. And what kind of things you have to think about if, as a business, about ethics and hallucination. But the one interesting thing is, how do you create value? Because one of the things that I keep hearing from enterprises, what kind of use cases can we do? What kind of value can we create? So this is like one lesson per day for 15 days. And you can start at any time. As soon as you buy this course, it will get started. And I believe it is $120, but right now it's at $99.99. And so if you buy this course, immediately you'll start getting an email every day for 15 days. You'll get access to the email. You'll have access to the content. If you want to go back and read this again and watch this, that's great. You'll have access to that for a year. But the important thing is, I do not believe in teaching anything passively. I believe that you have business acumen, you have to apply the learning. So as part of this course, we will be building out a mini capstone project. And thank you for my students who gave me feedback. Past students who have taken courses on Business School of AI or in Stanford with me basically said, hey, this is great, but we need to apply that learning. Thank you for your feedback. So as part of this course, you'll get an email per day for 15 days, and you learn all aspects of Gen AI, all the key topics you'll cover. I can guarantee that. And I will come and do a live session a couple times with you, so we can have like a overall class Q&A, ask me anything kind of session. But the beauty of this is you get to be part of a closed community where you can meet other students and you can talk to each other and get help on your mini capstone. And it's not time consuming, because we want you to spend 5 minutes a day for 2 weeks. Or if you want to stagger this and slow this because you're busy and you want to do this in summer, you can sign up and then get the courses, get the emails and read them at a later time. But for 15 days is when the course runs. And then you get to build the mini capstone. So you have 1 year time if you want to go build this later at a later time. But the easiest thing is you apply the course learning, come to the community, and you will apply it for your industry or content or a idea like we were talking about from news that you're seeing. And you can build a mini capstone, and we'll guide you to build a mini capstone. You will build a Gen AI business plan at the end of this exercise for a business problem, for something for your company or industry, or something you're seeing in news, something that's intriguing, or you want to build a next startup, but a real Gen AI. That's the idea. So I hope you will like this. Here is the URL for this. I'll put this here in the chat, but I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to follow up, but I will be sharing this in Business School of AI in the coming week. So Gen AI 15 days email course at Business School of AI. It's right here. There we go. And I hope you'll try this out. Come back, ask me questions, especially forward this. If you have taken my Gen AI courses you're on LinkedIn, or you are already comfortable working with Gen AI, and you have all the foundation concept, but you have a friend who wants to learn and come up to speed, especially if they want to go hands-on and build something and they're with no code and they don't want to wait, they don't have the time to go build, watch videos and stuff, then this would be right for them. So with that, so tag them, forward to them, and I will see you next time at Sudha Live in a month. But before that, I will see you at Weekly Wed Online every week. and I will see you at the newsletter, and you can talk to me. I will see you at Business School of AI, where I will be sharing everything that I've shared here today, the newsletter link and all the different reading material and the jobs and everything that I've shared. So I hope to continue our conversation and not wait for a month before we can meet live face-to-face. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.